Catherine is with us in Connecticut. Hi, Catherine. How are you? Let's try again. I didn't hit the button hard enough. There it goes. Catherine, how are you?
I'm doing great, Dave. How are you?
I think I'm getting better. How can I help?
I just had a question. I have some family members who live in Virginia right now. They're thinking about moving back to Connecticut to be nearer to family, and they think they're going to rent when they get here. I was wondering if you could tell me whether it's a terrible idea or not to rent to them if I owned a house and rented it out to them.
No, it's not a terrible idea at all. Doing business with family can be perfectly fine. What you have to do, though, is you have to have very uncomfortably clear conversations ahead of time setting the table. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it sounds like this. When you move into the house and I'm dealing with you there, I am not your cousin, I'm your landlord.
Right.
And you have the right as the tenant to expect your landlord to do the repairs, to pay the taxes and keep the insurance on the property, and do the things that a normal landlord does. Mm-hmm. And that's all. And I have the right as the landlord to expect you to pay your rent early or on time. And if you don't, you know what the landlord does? They evict you.
Okay.
And so when we're together talking about the property, you're wearing a hat on top of your head that says tenant. I'm wearing one that says landlord. When we're together at Grandma's house for Thanksgiving, we're wearing hats that say cousins.
Right.
But you don't get to play the cousin card as a way to not pay your rent.
Okay. And you don't worry about, like, them asking for, like, something unreasonable to be done and me saying no and that affecting the relationship, kind of the same way that you kind of advise people not to lend money to family?
Right. Well, lending money to family I would never do because it does change the relationship. But you can have I've got my grown children, which I always think's an oxymoron when I say that, but the Ramsey, my children, they're my children, but they're grown, work here. And when they're here at work, they don't get to ask for unreasonable things any more than anybody else that works here can. And I don't get to be unreasonable with them as their CEO. I treat them with the same dignity I would any other team member. And no more, no less. And so as long as we have that clear that this is a landlord-tenant relationship and you do not get to play the family card in order to be unreasonable or to not pay your rent or to be a jerk, or, I'm going to treat you fine. I'm going to treat you wonderfully. But, by the way, I do all my tenants. Right?
Right.
And so, you just say it out loud. And then if they come in and ask for something unreasonable, you say, no, wait a minute, we talked about this. You're a tenant in the property. Tenants don't get to ask for stuff like you're asking for.
Right. Okay. Perfect.
Well, I just thought because you were my cousin. No, you didn't listen when you moved in. When you moved in, here's what we said. And you go back to that. But if you don't have that conversation ahead of time, you can expect them to have a sense of entitlement about something by being family somewhere in the process if you don't set the table ahead of time.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you. If you clearly define the roles, you can do business with family. But you have to clearly define the roles. I'll give you another example. My cousin, Marshall Ramsey, is a world-class illustrator. Pulitzer Prize nominated twice. He is an editorial cartoonist out of Jackson, Mississippi, and does incredible work. He is unbelievably talented. And the first round of the Junior Series books, he did the illustrations in them. Family. You know what he got paid for doing those illustrations? Royalties, like we would have paid any other illustrator. And you know when we paid the royalties checks? Perfectly on time, like we would have any other illustrator. And we sold a bunch of those books, and he got some pretty decent royalties out of it. When we redid the books, we changed the illustrator because we wanted a different look. And so he's not in that loop anymore, just like I would have changed any other illustrator because I wanted a different look. It wasn't because he did a bad job. It wasn't because I was mad at him because he's family. Matter of fact, we're not mad at each other at all. We like each other a lot. We have a lot of respect for each other. But we just did a business transaction and kept it all up at that level where he didn't get a worse deal. I didn't get a worse deal. We didn't get any extra special treatment, except he probably got his foot in the door to start with to do that, because he's my cousin. And I happen to know him, If I'd known one of my buddies from college, he would have got his foot in the door to do that too. Same thing, right? But still, you've got to perform in the transaction on both sides of the transaction with an ethical, excellent way. And thank goodness, Marshall did and I did. And we were able to do that transaction. He was able to make a little money. We were able to get some wonderful illustrations. And when it ended, we were still friends and still cousins. And it's all good. But we had this clear expectation that we weren't going to mistreat one another because we were family or expect something different because we were family. We both had to bring the water. And when you do that, anytime you're working with family, you can have a wonderful experience. And lots of people can do that. But these experiences are only as functional as your family is. To the point that your family's crazy, then you're going to have trouble with that. And every family's got some crazy in it. And if you think there's not crazy in your family, it's you.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click the subscribe button to get the latest content and check out these other great clips from the show.